This week, we've got Chris Beck with Beck Law Office, LLC, and he's here to tell us all about everything with the law. But not only that, he wants to talk about safety with Creek Safe as well. Come on in and let's figure out how to get out of some trouble.
Welcome to the Dayton Approved Podcast with Frank O'Neill. This is where the local Dayton businesses get a spotlight.
Welcome to Dayton Approved, exploring Dayton small businesses and nonprofits with Dayton Discount Furniture. Today's guest is Chris Beck with Beck Law Office, LLC. How are you doing today, Chris?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on here. You got an inspirational story. I've known you for a little while as well. We've become friends over the years.
Yep.
Helped me get out of a jam or two. But we won't be talking about that today. We'll be talking about all business stuff.
Sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, what I like to start people off is basically tell us a little bit about your business and what type of law office you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So Beck Law Office is a law firm that focuses on helping people with estate planning, divorce, business law, small businesses, especially criminal defense, DUI. We do a lot of trial work, and our goal has always been to provide high quality legal services with care and compassion that our clients deserve. Treating them kind of like family. I know a lot of businesses say that, but also to just kind of communicate with them in a way they deserve. I find too many lawyers just don't communicate with their clients well, and so I try to make sure, because they're scared. They come to us in dark times. Somebody passed away, they're getting divorced, they got a traffic ticket or a criminal charge, or they're scared because they're thinking about starting a new business. I try to explain them and to kind of help take that stress off of them and let them know that everything's gonna be all right. Yeah,
it seems like you're definitely dealing with a lot of people that I would say probably are in like some sort of like transitional state, right? Like something's happening, like either something really bad, like criminal-wise, on people make mistakes, or it could be even something that's like really good, like starting a business, like you're saying. But there's definitely a new thing happening in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see one of my favorites are people that are starting a new business. They're like, okay, they've got a job, but they've got this dream, and they want to realize that dream. Or somebody, young parents that just had a kid, and they're like, hey, maybe I should be a grown up and have a will or a power of attorney or healthcare power of attorney. So getting to meet them and watch them grow, and when they come back with their second child and everything, and just watch them kind of succeed at life on all levels is awesome, especially like the businesses and families. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely rewarding, I'm sure, to see the progress throughout the years and whatnot, because you, as we'll know in your story here a little bit later on, that, this isn't your first day being a lawyer.
Nope, not my first day, that's for sure. Not my first rodeo.
So yeah, one of the big things that you really, I wanted to point out on your mission statement is providing high quality legal services with care and compassion for the needs of your clients. I think that really stuck out to me. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you really kind of go into that? I know you talked about, the factor of like, dealing with, talking to them like people, I guess you could say, but what are some other things that you...
So I think we before we went on air, we were kind of talking about it as, I just remember this thing from grade school that they said the average newspaper is written for a person with a third grade education.
Yeah.
And I see way too many lawyers that like to, show how smart they are, or even engineers, or just so many people that just show how smart they are, and all they want you to do is show how tough or how smart you are or whatever. And so I try to take this very complex legal stuff that it really, if you boil it down to kind of simple words, again, how would you write it in a newspaper? How would you explain it to a third grader? Which when I do that, I taught grade school and high school students and all that sort of stuff, trying to take some of this complex stuff to explain it to them and kind of just break it down to what I call brass tacks, break it down and show them what their situation is.
Yeah. And as we were talking, I guess, a little bit in the pre-show, one of the things that I liked was, I'm a client as well. So this was kind of like my takeaway when we went with one of our first meetings we had, and that is like, you don't talk above the client, you talk to the client.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think a lot of people have experiences with lawyers. It's like they almost feel like, hey, not necessarily good, but kind of feel like, okay, maybe this is a good thing, but almost kind of feel, I don't know, dumb, I guess you could say. I don't know what the best way to word it is.
I think they feel intimidated. I mean,
Yeah,
when they
that
meet
would
with,
probably be the better
when they
one.
meet with a lot of attorneys, and when I meet with a client for the first time, I mean, for like our divorce cases, we do free initial consults. So like they come in, they want to ask some questions, they want to see kind of what the process looks like. And I tell them when they go to leave, when they're trying to make the decision on whether to hire us or not, I said, look, here's the deal. I understand there are a bunch of lawyers out there. Meet with them. Meet with all
Yeah.
of them. I don't care. When you're picking a lawyer, you go with somebody you feel comfortable with. Don't go with
Yeah.
somebody that's promising you the world, because the reality is the law is the law. They're not going to be able to get you anything different than some of the
Right.
other ones. But who can you call at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on a Friday, 8 a.m. on a Saturday, 1 a.m. on a Saturday?
Right.
We got in that call. And who's going to take your call and kind of say, hey, I
Yeah.
got you. It's okay. Who's going to talk you off that ledge? And I tell my clients, I generally boil life down to 2 rules.
Right.
Like when I'm at my office, I have 2 rules for my team. 1, don't screw anything up so bad I can't fix when I get back. 2, if the building catches on fire, get my scotch out of the drawer.
Right.
Okay, that's my 2 rules. So I tell my clients 2 things. 1, don't panic till I panic. If I panic, it's time to head to Cuba. Like, we got to go.
Yeah.
And they'll never see me panic. And 2, the second thing I tell them is take all the stress that you're feeling, put it on my shoulders. They're pretty big shoulders. Let me do the worrying for you.
Yeah.
I tend to find like clients or people, clients or potential clients walk out of my office a little bit taller.
Yeah.
They feel a little bit better knowing that they've kind of vented. I mean, they call attorneys counselors at law because counselor is important. I mean,
Right.
you're helping people in bad times.
Yeah, and I know we were going to talk about differentiators later on, but I guess we're jumping into it now, which is perfectly fine.
We're doing it anyway.
We're doing it anyway. But yeah, I mean, I know from experience before I met you, and it's always almost like the same type of textbook approach with lawyers, where it's almost like they kind of put you in the hot seat because like you kind of have to make a decision. They don't really leave you with like, oh yeah, go shop around. They leave you with more of like, if you don't choose me, you're an idiot, like
Yeah.
type of deal. And I think that type of pressure really kind of doesn't allow the client to be able to get the best person to represent. I know that it's tough for people to like predict this stuff. Nobody predicts that like bad things are going to happen, but it's almost like the success that I've seen is like you and we've talked, and we had a little bit of experience, but as far as for my business stuff, I put you through the interview process. I guess you could say, hey, I'm going to give you all my business stuff, and this is how we're going to roll. But I don't know if everyone has that luxury when it comes to certain things, when it comes to needing a lawyer.
I think they all have that luxury. I mean, they can go somewhere else. And again, knowing that they need to go to somebody they feel comfortable with, not somebody that's going to put on the dog and pony show. I don't care if you're buying a car, and we're in that process right now, and as
Yeah.
miserable as, some of them are like, well, what can I do to get you in this car today?
Yeah.
Well, nothing. I mean, like, if
I
I like
don't-
you enough, I'm going to buy from you.
I don't think it's necessarily lawyers. I think that's part of the ordeal. I also think like if something criminal happens, by the time that they go through the song and dance, they do go to jail and they make bail. Then they've got a day, or they got several hours maybe even to find someone to get in there and represent them, right?
Yeah, they have time. I mean, obviously, time is somewhat of the essence, but they have time. I mean, those cases don't move quickly, and so they have time to kind of feel people out and decide who they want to go with, and do that. Don't be pressured into feeling that they've got to go. I mean, I find now,
Right.
I mean, we don't do any advertising. I mean, everything
Yeah.
is word of mouth or from Google reviews and stuff like that we don't pay people for, and that's important because those are organic. If I say, hey, why should I hire, people will come to me like, Chris, do you have a plumber? Or I need a plumber. I'm like, hey, will you call my buddy? He does this, and I've used him. Like, I would never recommend somebody that I wouldn't personally use.
Right.
And that's just the key, is just making sure that you get somebody that you can talk to. And I like to believe that we're pretty easy to talk to. I mean,
Yeah.
our office manager, who's my wife, is also very easy to talk to. I think that's the difference is people are like, how is it that you can work with your wife? How do you do
Right.
that every day? You're home all night together, and then you're doing it, you work together all day. And I'm like, one, I'm not in the office very much because I'm in court a lot, but it's because we have complementing skill sets. I mean,
Right.
she's, the numbers person. She's very good with the bookkeeping and very kind. I'm the people person. I've got the legal knowledge, but I always say you can take the best trial. I can make the best trial attorney out of an old man fisherman because they can tell the best story. That's all my life is. I mean, I'm telling your story as your lawyer.
Right.
Any kind of case.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. And I know you nail it on the head when it comes to that. I was just saying, like in general, I just know that sometimes if someone doesn't get that referral to you right away, I've seen them. They're like, man, I'm just not happy with my lawyer. But
Yeah.
like, I'm already stuck. Like, they filed a continuance, or they already started the process. And it's like, I really would like to switch, but then they don't want to because they feel kind of pot committed, I guess you could say.
And they've already put the money up. They're
Right.
like, hey, they've paid this attorney, and not you don't want to pay somebody to do the same job 3 times.
Right.
But I always tell my clients, go with your gut. That's if you don't feel comfortable, then cut bait, get out. It's
Right.
okay to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's very true. So that's something I think people probably need to hear because they don't necessarily realize that. I think maybe in their situation or whatever it is that's going on in their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's going to bring us to, you talked a little bit about, what was it, about how you guys were, well, you and your wife basically both work there, so you talked a little bit about that, but
Yep.
why don't we talk about getting into your full story now? How,
Sure.
take us from the beginning, like how did it all start? Where did you even decide you want to be a lawyer?
Yeah, so
Or how?
I grew up in Lima, Ohio. My school was actually, they called us the Children of the Corn. My high school was literally in the middle of a cornfield. We would kick footballs over the goalpost into the corn, and we had to go looking for it.
Yes.
So we went to Bath High School.
Did
in
you ever
Lima.
do this thing called corn chucking?
No, never corn chucked. I don't even know what that is.
All right, so corn chucking is when you're in a cornfield at night and you wait for cars to drive by and you throw corn at the car that drives by and you try and get them to stop and then like look for you in the cornfield.
No, we've done a lot of things in cornfields. That was never one of them.
But yeah, it's foolish kid crap. Is
Sure,
what
sure.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, so I grew up in Lima. I moved down here in 1999. I graduated high school at 17. Moved down here. I always tell, when I teach in a high school class, I say it is completely unreasonable to ask a 17 or 16-year-old what they want to do with their life. I'm like, I had no idea what I was going to do. I could play ball in college, or I could, I could go to school for I was a musician too. I played in an orchestra and stuff. And so I ended up going to Wright State because they offered me some money because I was like, I don't want to play ball in college. My knees were starting to hurt. My shoulder, I'd already dislocated my shoulder twice, and I've had more concussions than I can remember, probably because of the concussions, right? So I moved down here to Wright State in 1999. In 2000, my wife, who was at Miami at the time, I didn't even know she existed. She was from Beavercreek. She transferred to Wright State into the music department, and I met her. We started dating in, we say February 7th of 01. I think we actually were dating a little bit before that because we were just hanging out all the time as friends. But we started dating and never looked back. When I got into it, when music became my job, I was a music education major, and I enjoyed the teaching side of it. I didn't like the administrative side of it. I got kind of frustrated, but I had a political science class that I absolutely fell in love with. I loved the class. So I decided, okay, I graduated in 2003 in November, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? I could go teach, but I was like, I'm thinking about try law school because why not? Why not go to law school? It sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Easy.
Easy. Spend $100,000 and some $1,000 and eat ramen for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I decided to go for it. And my wife, who was still my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was pretty supportive. She was like, I don't know, she was teaching in Vandalia. I moved up to Lansing, Michigan, because Thomas Cooley, the school I went to for law school, they had a 2-year program. So law school is a 3-year program, but Cooley offered a 2-year program. Basically what I did was I went year-round and just put my head down and just grinded, which I think was probably the dumbest yet best thing I've ever done in my life, was just to grind, because that prepared me for the practice of law. I hear all these people, these other lawyers that are like, oh, I had so much fun in law school. I'm like, screw you. I had no fun in law school. I worked my tail off to, do what I did, but I wasn't in there to make friends. I had friends, but I was there to get in and get out.
Yeah, you took it serious.
So then I moved down here. I did an externship with the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base JAG office, which was really cool. They do everything there. They do contracts, wrongful termination cases, estate plans for people. They give advice, but they can never go to court for somebody. But we also did some court martials, so I got some experience doing some court martials and prosecution. I left there, took the Ohio bar in February of 07. We got married in December of 06. Took the bar, And luckily passed, because people are like, well, what are you going to do if you don't pass? I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to lose weight and be a dancer, or be a bouncer, or be a personal trainer again, or something like that. So I then left there, went into an office sharing arrangement here in Fairborn with a company called Beavercreek Law Office. It was an older guy, one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He was kind of deteriorating, but the funny story about that was I go into this office, and this is 2007. Okay. They had one computer that was hooked up to the internet, and it was dial-up. 2007, They had dial-up, and we're trying to do legal research on it.
The old 56K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrible. And I finally was like, and they were paying like $100 for dial-up internet.
Wow.
And so I said, hey.
But you know what? It's okay, because they were probably charging like $200 an hour. So like the dial-up
Sure.
internet, think about that. Took them a long time.
But they were struggling. I mean, that firm was struggling. I mean, they really were struggling. I mean, they had just not advanced with the times. They were in a very expensive building. And so I came in kind of with some ideas. I think that they probably were like, who's this kid? I mean, why is he coming in with these ideas of how to change the world? And I'm like, well, for $40, we can all have internet.
Yeah.
And it's way faster.
And we don't have to worry about phone line.
And if somebody flushes the toilet in New Carlisle, it doesn't kick us off the internet. So, that was kind of fun. I was there for about 3 years, and at that point, I decided to go out on my own. The guy who owned the firm was still kind of struggling. We kind of brought him out of the darkness, and but he was getting pretty old, and he was kind of starting to struggle. So I decided to go out on my own, and here we are. I mean, I don't know how many years. I think I've been practicing now almost 18 years. And
yeah, I was going to say, do you know what year that was?
I opened my business in 2009, 2010, moved into our current location. I remember that clearly because my son is 11. We moved in September, right before he was born, because my wife was teaching and they got laid off the day we found out we were having a baby.
Wow, that's interesting, because I guess I didn't really connect the dots till now when you just said that. I started my business in 2010.
Yeah.
So we were around the same time period.
Sure. Yeah. It's I started practicing law. I mean, I started my business in the worst recession we had seen in 30 plus years.
Oh yeah.
And the housing market had burst and everybody was struggling. And so I just, put my nose to the grindstone and really just kind of what I wanted to find something that set me apart, and that was that community involvement and just treating people well. And I missed that excitement of not knowing whether we were going to be able to make rent that month or whatever.
Yeah.
But because luckily we don't have to do that much anymore. We don't have to be scared as often. We still do, but growing the practice, I think that was the as my dad used to say, pee or get off the pot kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I remember I was opening up in that time period too, and people were, all the vendors I was talking to were like, oh, what, you're opening up a store in this economy? Like, you either know something we don't know or you're just crazy.
Both. Yeah. I mean,
it's
we're
a combo.
crazy.
It always is a combo.
Yeah, I mean, I had an opportunity a couple years ago to go work in a large law firm. They were starting a white-collar defense program. It was an international firm, and so they were looking for somebody to head the department, and the pay was huge, but I would have been overseas a lot, and I was like, man, I got kids. I don't know. Finally, my wife and I was like, but I was really wrestling. I'm like, okay, it'd actually be more than I make now, but not by much, but, I mean, just it'd be fun. I'd be all over the world just trying cases. And then my wife says, but you wouldn't be happy. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, you'd probably end up throwing another partner off the 13th floor of the building. And I'm like, that's probably true. I probably would be, some partner would say something to me, and I wasn't going to go in as like an associate or anything. I mean, I was going to go in as a partner,
right?
At some level. But yeah, I mean, they would have said something and been like, all right, you're gone. Like, I mean, I haven't had a boss since, I haven't had a boss at Beck Law Office since, well, other than my wife, since 2010 or really, and even in my practice in Fairborn, it was eat what you kill. I mean, you were kind of autonomous. I mean, so I haven't had a boss since 2000. I mean, even during law school, since 2003 was probably the last time I had a real job.
Yeah, someone you had to report to and be like,
Right. It wasn't my wife, but I mean, it was fantastic. And so maybe my wife says sometimes I don't play well with others. I think I do play well with others, but I'm not going to put up with the crap, right?
Right.
And so if it doesn't make sense, it's okay to ask why.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
we're at.
there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
If there is, it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. That is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very, like I said, interesting story. It's awesome where you came from to where you are now, and you decided to stay here after Wright State.
Yeah. I moved away to Lansing for 2 years, but then came back, and my wife's family's from here. My family's an hour and 15 minutes north, and I love this community. I mean, I know housing seems expensive, but I mean, compared to the other places in the world I've been, like this place is gold. I mean, like, we've got Target right around the corner. I mean, growing up in Lima, where it was cows and corn. I mean, there's not a whole lot. And here we've got everything we need.
Oh yeah.
You're an hour from Cincinnati, hour from Columbus, hour and a half from Indianapolis. I can be in Chicago in 5.
Yeah.
Atlanta in 8. I mean, I love this area. I love the people here. It's Midwest flair. It's great here. But
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it too, and I think everything in Dayton is really great. I mean, the food options are phenomenal. The stores, like you're saying, is great. Because we're in Ohio, we typically are like the test market on all the new stuff too for whatever business is going on. So it's a good spot, and the cost of living,
You can't beat it.
you can't beat it.
I mean, as much as I don't like when people ask if I liked living in Lansing or when I lived in Michigan or here, and I was like, yeah, but I did not like November, December, January, and February. I don't like the cold. And
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, but yeah. But hey, I hear I'm the first guest
Yeah.
to drink
Yeah.
on the podcast.
This is true. This is true. And I figure, why not with my lawyer in case I have an issue?
Cheers.
This is a first. You are
Yeah.
correct. You are correct. So we are breaking ground here.
Breaking ground.
At Dayton Approved. Breaking ground. Well, let's get to the next point then, which is really about contributing to the local, I guess you could say, community and economy. I know that you've got. Were we going to talk about? See, now I'm getting confused over here. See, this is what happens when you get me going with the beer. Yeah. So let's talk about CreekSafe. Let's just
Yeah.
start with that. So tell everyone what CreekSafe is, and this is a massive thing that you're helping with the community with. So it's
Yeah.
very, very important. So let's start with that.
One of my goals when I started the business that I said, this community has been good to us, and so how do I want to give back as much as I receive from the community, whether that's sponsoring little league teams, being on chamber board, Dayton history board, and or anything else. I unfortunately at the beginning I never said no, so as to helping everybody. Eventually, you as a business owner, you have to say no. I mean, eventually you can't, because you're burning that candle at both ends. But yeah, in 2018, there was a very tragic shooting down at Stoneman Douglas. That a bunch of people were injured, and people lost their lives, and so. After that, the Beaver Creek School, so I've got a now almost 16 and an 11-year-old that go to Beaver Creek schools. After that, the Beaver Creek City Schools, the Beaver Creek Police Department, Beaver Creek Fire had a safety meeting open to the public. I didn't get to go because my kids were home, so I had to stay home with the kids, but my wife went. And one of the things that the school said they were trying to do is they were trying to buy these active shooter locks, these barricade door locks. They're called Anchorman locks, are the ones we ended up buying. And what the problem was, schools have very limited resources. I mean, it seems like schools charge all this money, all this tax money and all this stuff, but they have very few ways they can raise capital. They either have to do a levy, they have to do a grant, or hope for a donation. That's about it. They can't, just go out and sell stuff. They don't have stuff to sell.
Right.
You can't sell a kid,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And so the school said they wanted to. Their goal was to put these locks in to try to keep these kids safe, and the locks were $150. So us being the kind of people we are, I'd like to give back. My wife says, "Okay, well, I'll cut you a check right now for $150, $300, one for my kids, both of our kids' classrooms." And the school said, "No. What we do for one class, we have to do for them all. It's not. We can't have again, it's Beaver Creek, so it seems like compared to where I grew up, a very affluent district, but you can't have one school that has it." And so I said, "Okay, fine. I'll cut a check right now to cover the entire school at Trebine." That's where my kids went to school, out at Trebine Elementary School. My daughter was at the time. My son wasn't in school yet. And they said, no, again, what we do for one school, you have to do with all the schools. Well, Beavercreek has 11 schools.
Yeah.
I think 10 or 11 schools. I'm like, can't write that check.
Yeah.
So my wife came home, she's telling me the story, and I'm like, man, what do we do? How can we help? And I laid down in bed that night and tossed and turned, because that's when we do our best thinking. If it's not in the shower, it's in the bed.
Right.
So I'm thinking, and the next morning I told my wife, I said, hey, I have an idea. The idea is, the hardest part about the school being able to do this is all the red tape, the governmental red tape that the schools have. And so I said, well, what if we started a nonprofit to help raise the funds and purchase and install these safety devices to help keep these kids safe? And I kind of said, okay, I thought about it, it kind of came through, because the hardest part of starting a nonprofit is the legal and the accounting side.
Right.
Well, I knew a guy that could do the legal side.
Yeah.
And I had a good accountant friend that was willing to do everything for us and help us out too. So that's how kind of Creek Safe started, was after this safety meeting. And because people kept asking the wrong question. That's kind of, if I try to define how Creek Safe started, it's people kept asking at that meeting, kept saying to the school, why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you doing more?
Right.
I said, that's not the right question. The right question is, why aren't we doing more?
Yeah.
We're the parents. Like, why don't we
Yeah.
do more? Why doesn't everybody else get their checkbook out?
Right.
And so we rallied the community with a grassroots effort to purchase and install the locks. And within, I think it was like not even 6 months, we did like 75 events in 6 months. So we started in May. We were officially a nonprofit in May. Luckily, I had some great people that helped us with our stuff. Friends of mine, Catapult Creative, they're a website design company. They helped us with our websites for free.
Yeah.
They helped us. Mark DeGrossa, who's an amazing man, he did graphic design, and so he made our logo for us. And then we sold and printed T-shirts. Just Ink Tees, they were just amazing. They donated the T-shirts to us. Like, all we had to do was pay for the cost of the T-shirt, not the printing, not anything else.
Yeah.
Just the cost of the T-shirt.
Wow.
So within 6 months, we were able to install a barricade door lock on every door where a child might be present in all 6 elementary schools. So then we went to the middle schools. We have 2 middle schools in Beavercreek. So that was by Thanksgiving. Actually, yeah, by Thanksgiving, all the elementary schools were done. By spring break, the week of spring break that year, we had both middle schools done. And by the end of summer, before those kids went back, we had the high school done.
Wow.
So we did Ferguson, which is a 9th grade building, and then a high school. So, Bellbrook Fence, who was amazing, they are a local company. They donated the installation time. They went and did the training with Anchorman and everything, and they donated the installation. But yeah, so that's kind of how it got started. We actually we then transitioned from there, after all the locks were installed, to purchasing what they call stop the bleed bags with tourniquets and different first aid supplies. That every school has them. They're kind of equally spaced around the building. We've helped fund like glass covering for active shooters, for bullet resistant glass covering. We've done trainings. We just bought they call them they're like tourniquet leg training kits. They're like we call them a log of bologna, because it looks like a log of bologna, to help teach teachers and people how to put on a tourniquet and all that sort of stuff. And we just went let's see, what was it, Tuesday this week, we went and checked all the locks in the high school, cleaned them out, made sure that everything was working right, fixed anything that wasn't. And so that's kind of how it started. And we don't do a whole lot. We don't do as many events, because I got too old and just tired, to do that many events. But we just had our euchre tournament, raised a couple grand for that, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's how that got started.
Nice. So you got all the locks done in what, like a year and a half?
Yeah, in a year and a half before COVID hit, all of the locks were installed. Everything was ready to roll. It was. Looking back, I'm like, people are like, the one thing when we met with the school, because the first thing we had to do was meet with the school and kind of pitch the idea, and you could tell they were saying they thought we were going to yell at them, and I said, no, we want to help. Here's what we want to do. And then the air came back into the room. It was fantastic. And I think they'll even tell you, like the person we met with was like, we didn't think you guys would be able to do it. And I was like, never once did I think we wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
It might take us longer if we want. Now, I don't know that I thought we'd do it that fast, but I said, nobody should doubt that parents that love their kids and love their teachers are going to be willing to do it. Because it's grassroots at its best. And then COVID hit and kind of changed the world of fundraising. But we had no question we were going to get it done, because I wasn't going to stop until I got it done, and I'm still not going to stop.
So you got all the locks. The maintenance is probably isn't like a ton of different stuff you have to do for the maintenance, right?
No, I mean, there's a hole in the floor that we got to clean out,
Yeah.
and the custodians help with that. We just check them. There's and we gave keys. There's a key that all first responders have. But yeah, I mean, it's really just checking them, making
Yeah.
sure some of the door sags or whatever, but like, just kind of really just making sure everything's working smooth. And if it doesn't work smooth, we figure out how to fix it.
Right. But then so then you did that, and then so the maintenance is low is what I'm getting at, and then
Yep.
you got the other stuff that you were getting, like the tourniquet kits and the bulletproof glass. I mean, I guess really, what else is there?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. We've met with the school again.
Yeah.
We've got a meeting next week with them, and their question was, I told them, I said, here's the deal. Give us your Christmas list.
Yeah.
Tell us what you need. Tell us what you want for school safety. Now, they mentioned vaping detectors and all that sort of stuff. I said, well, it's not a safety issue. I mean, yes, kids shouldn't vape. I get that, but it's not something that I think is like a mass casualty or mass issue.
Right.
And so I feel like that's not something we need to be involved in. We can't hire people because that's an ongoing expense. Like, as much as I'd love to have an officer in every school, we can't
Right.
afford to do that. But I said, give us your Christmas list. But so we're looking at, there's a school safety conference in Vegas that officers go to. We actually are talking about myself or one of our Creek Safe team, our board, going out to Vegas because, I mean, if I have to go,
Yeah.
I guess I'll go.
Yeah, of course.
To see what else is out there, and
See what other products are out there. Yeah.
Every time something happens, we learn more stuff.
Right.
And
Well,
just
I
try to
think the
evolve.
solution's pretty easy. All signs point to one thing, and that's getting teachers guns.
Yeah, that's what people say. I mean, I don't think teachers want it. Teachers want to focus on teaching.
No,
yeah.
I'm just joking. I'm not
So-
trying to make anything controversial
Yeah.
here. I just thought that was
Yeah,
just
we've
poking fun.
had people say that, or people like when we were doing the locks, like, well, why don't you just go down to Home Depot and get you a lock? I'm like, because it doesn't work like that. You
Yeah.
need to make sure that first responders can actually access it too. So, yeah, I mean, it's actually probably one of the, other than my kids and my wife and everything. I mean, I would say my business is probably secondary to Creek Safe as the things I'm most proud of, for sure. I mean, I'm very proud of our organization and what we've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. Hopefully, it's something we spent all this money and did all this work, and those locks will never get used.
Yeah.
Because it just buys the cops time to respond, and I hope that we never have that situation. I hope nobody in the world ever has that situation. But we can't sit back and say, well, it couldn't happen here. It wouldn't happen here. Because it can happen here, and
Right.
that's what everybody says until it hits here. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right?
That's right. That's right. Everyone's got a plan until that happens. So that's very
Yeah.
true. Well, no, that's a whole nother business in itself, the nonprofit that you got going on. So
Yep.
I'm glad you were able to fill everyone in on what that is and exactly what you do, because some people may not know. Creek Safe, they're like, what?
Yep. If anybody wants more information, then go to the website, creeksafe.com.
I think the cool thing too is like it could almost be copied, like maybe for other cities in the area or even other states or wherever.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've always had this kind of dream of writing a book that it outlines our process, because it's not a difficult process. You got to be organized. You got to be, you have the drive to do it. But I mean, we've had other organizations reach out. People are like, well, why don't you take this to a national level? I was like, I don't have that kind of energy to take this national. But Centerville had a group that wanted to do it. A group up in Elyria, up near Cleveland, they wanted to do something similar. I said, hey, here's our bylaws. I will help you.
Right.
This is not proprietary information. I will give you this information. I will give you everything you need to start this business. I don't want to do the fundraising for you, but I will help you. You have questions, I will get you through. I will put you in contact with people. Indiana had a case. There was a school in Indiana that wanted to buy the locks, but there was an issue where the locks that we use here, Indiana law didn't recognize, so they had to get a waiver. And they actually had a school shooting in that school. And so I worked with them. I looked at the Indiana laws to find out how the waiver process works, and they ended up buying locks for all 11 of their buildings, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So it's really a trickle down effect there, which
Yeah.
is cool.
It's grassroots, but it needs to be grass under your feet, not
Right.
like me going to Chicago and trying to raise funds. It just doesn't work. So it needs to be the parents in that organization that are going to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, the only other option is to figure out the locks, invest in it, and then go nationwide so you can make some money.
Yeah, I mean, and Anchorman reached out to us about selling the locks, and I said, I've got to worry about, because it was all going to be commissioned, but I don't have time. Like, I've got to worry about what keeps our mortgage paid,
Right.
and feeds the kids and feeds us and everything. But yeah, I mean, we've helped other organizations. Churches have reached out about the locks, and I say, hey, here's the information. Come take a look at them. Because we had the
So
chief
did they
policeman-
make this lock for this ordeal
Yes.
specifically, and then they were just hoping schools would buy it, or they just didn't really have a plan? I mean, what was?
Yeah. So what the idea was, it's actually invented by two SWAT officers from LAPD, the retired SWAT officers, and they had encountered a biker gang that had hold themselves up, and they used kind of a crude makeshift anchorman lock, right? That was their idea. When they finally got in, when they finally blew through the door and got in there and to get these guys, because they had such trouble getting in the door, they saw that and they were like, hey, this has some applications. So they kind of started manufacturing, went through, the first couple copies that didn't work or whatever, and went through, kept going. And then kind of just started kind of marketing it to schools, to businesses, to anybody that would be interested in having a very low tech. I mean,
Yeah.
there's zero electronic in it. It's very low tech. I mean, it's just a lock that goes down.
Just a door stopper,
I mean,
essentially.
it's a very strong door stopper.
Yeah.
And so that's the guys that invented it. And one guy happened to be, I think he was in Illinois or something like that, or Iowa, and he drove over to meet with us when we were doing stuff, and we met with him, and then it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very proud of that process, that organization.
Well, that is, like I said, a phenomenal story about what you do there and how that's trickled down to, all the schools in Beaver Creek and obviously schools outside of Beaver Creek now too. So that's really job well done. I mean, I know that, I don't need to tell you that, but seriously, that really is really cool.
Pat on the back is only a couple inches from a kick in the butt, right?
That's
what my
right.
dad used to say.
That's right. That's right. It's funny. That reminds me of, I remember Sparky Anderson is what I heard this from. And, there's a interview guy that said, hey, Sparky, you're the greatest manager of all. You won 2 World Series. Like, what's the secret sauce? What's the special thing? And he goes, man, there really isn't anything. There's only 3 things you can do as a manager. You can either pat him on the back, kick him in the ass, or leave him the hell alone.
Right.
He goes, knowing when to do one of those 3 at the right moment is a manager.
Yeah, Pete Rose was. I mean, my daughter plays softball, and so my son plays baseball. But we really love baseball and softball. And one of the things that Pete Rose was on, the late Pete Rose. I mean,
Yeah.
God bless him.
Hopefully they get him in there. He deserves it.
Yeah, but one of the things he told Alex Rodriguez on and John Kruk was, well, don't change your swing. If something's not working, your swing is what got you to the majors.
Right.
You do a couple things. You don't change your swing. You move up in the box, back in the box, in on the box, away from the box. That's it. He goes, don't change your swing. Don't do any of that because your swing is what got you here. And so, yeah, that's don't change our process because it's worked. We might need to tweak some things, but, you got to be true to who you are.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, CreekSafe is obviously a great thing, and it's a phenomenal thing that you put together yourself, but that's, your own little, I guess you could say child or brainchild or whatnot that you've done. But you've also helped out with a bunch of other organizations too. It's not just this one thing that you've done.
Yeah, we've I don't even know how many years it's been since my daughter was in even before school. We've been involved with the Beaver Creek Youth Softball Association's Summer League at Beaver Creek, where they've got tons of kids that go out and play. We sponsored a team. Now we sponsor 2 teams, my daughter's team and her son's team. I love doing it. We've helped with their bylaws. We've done whatever. We sponsor their teams. We put signs up, whatever we can do. Because to me, I can sponsor a golf outing for a bunch of hoity-toity people, or I can sponsor a little league team that helps keep costs down. I'd rather see a bunch of kids running around the field, having the time of their lives with smiles on their face, making friends that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. In a Beck Law T-shirt.
Yeah, they always say you'll never
fantastic.
see a kid on a Walmart T-shirt on a softball league or soccer league or whatever.
I mean, I think giving back to those kids. I mean, to me, if I had to say what are the kind of 2 things that we love as a society more than anything in the world, puppies and kids. I mean, so I've done things with a dog rescue. I've done stuff with the softball programs, and just the Greene County Bar Association, the Chambers of Commerce. I just finished helping out the Feed the Creek, because the one thing that will make this big guy go, turn to mush is when a kid is hungry. Like, I just can't tolerate that. And so Feed the Creek does amazing things for the community. And so they needed to update their bylaws and all that. And they were like, well, how much do we owe you? I'm like, nothing. Like, no, I'm not going to charge you. You guys are doing amazing things. Like, see that as me giving back to what you guys are doing. Because, we need you as much as we think this is a affluent area. There are kids that don't have food. And I grew up, we didn't have now I have a double door pantry and all this food. And we have food in the basement everywhere. We had a cabinet that was our pantry, and a Lazy Susan. That was all we had. Like, we didn't have all these snacks. Now, I don't think that was a big deal. I didn't know anything different, but now I want to make sure that whatever we can do to help kids in the community is key.
Yeah, one of the things that I know it wasn't, or I heard Dave Chappelle talk about, and obviously everyone pretty much knows by now Dave Chappelle's in our neck of the woods or whatever.
Yeah.
He, he doesn't take credit for it, but he said he heard this statement, and it was said. And the statement was said, we may not be able to change the world, but we can pretty much make a cool little corner. Yeah. And if we all do that, and in reality, we all can change the world. So it's like, if you can make your place a little bit better here, Beavercreek, and you're doing your part, you can actually make the world a better place in reality, because that's all you can do. You can't get other people from Centerville to do something, or from another state even, or whatever. All you can do is kind of help do what you can right here, right now, in your neck of the woods, on your corner, essentially.
I refuse to admit, when people say, well, we can't change anything, we can't change the world. Well, you know what? I'm certainly going to try.
Yeah.
I was a Boy Scout growing up, and one thing that our troop master always taught us was leave the campsite better than you found it. And my goal is that I'm going to pass this world over to my kids, into my grandkids or whatever, if that ever happens. I want to leave this world better than when I found it. And I'm very worried about our world because we're not doing that. But I refuse to agree that I can't do anything about it, because I'll die trying.
Yeah. I'm not trying to sit here and say we can't change the world. I think that's a big shot. Like, everyone wants to do that, right? Like, I'd love to give $1 million to my local charity. I don't have $1 million. Okay, so what can you do, right? People kind of feel a little stuck sometimes. And all I was just trying to say is do what you can in your spot. And if everybody just did that, then collectively as a whole, it would make a change.
Yeah, it's the Brady Bunch mentality.
Right.
One person helps one person, the next person helps one person, and then eventually everybody's getting helped. You can grow. You can stretch it. It's awesome. Yeah, it's really a cool thing. Now, there's another thing that you do that I found pretty interesting as well, and it's called the Big Bad Wolf Trial. Yeah. So why don't you tell everyone about what the Big Bad Wolf Trial is? Yeah, so I think COVID kind of took a break, but I think I've done it 17 times, 18 times, because I've done it. We've now kind of expanded the program. So the Optimist Club, the Greene County Optimist Club, started doing this Big Bad Wolf Trial. So it's actually the BB Wolf Trial, because it's not that big, not that bad. So as a defense attorney, what we do is it started at Fairborn Municipal Court through the Greene County Optimists, the Greene Optimist Club. I represent the BB Wolf, so the Big Bad Wolf, who's charged with stealing cookies from Little Red Riding Hood. And it's, as much as I think there's a lot of times where it'll be coming up, we just booked the date yesterday, actually, it's going to be in May, that they bring in a bunch of third graders from the local schools, usually Fairborn schools. They've done Beavercreek schools too, and now we've expanded the program to the Xenia Municipal Court does it, Common Pleas Court does it, and so it's really kind of expanding. And I always bring in a guest witness and all that sort of stuff. So I try to, we present like a kind of a watered down trial. The police department's involved. We have, they present forensic cookie evidence and all this sort of stuff, and it's a blast because it's a chance for us to teach these kids about the law, but also our jobs are so serious all the time. Somebody's facing jail time, somebody's losing their kids, somebody's losing money, or somebody died. It's terrible. So it's a chance for us to do something fun and lighthearted. And as much as I think, man, I've got a million things to do, and I'm like, I don't really have time to do it. Every time I do it and I walk out of there, I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad I did. I think I've only lost once in 17 years. Every other time it's a hung jury. Yeah. But I've brought in, I always try to find like a creative magic witness. I brought in Santa Claus one year, who was in a Hawaiian shirt, to say that Little Red Riding Hood is lying. She was on the naughty list. I brought in Iron Man. Man, the kids went ballistic when I said when the judge said call your next witness, and I said I call Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man. And I went down to Foy's right just down the road. And I was like, I bought this cool Iron Man costume. I brought Elsa from Frozen. I think the last one I did, I brought Mario from Mario Brothers because Mario Brothers movie was out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for I need to figure out what's going on, like what movies are out the kids kind of get.
Yeah.
I need a good witness for this year. We had the Cookie Monster one year. That was fantastic. Who was kind of an alibi witness that said he actually did it, not the Big Bad Wolf.
Tried saying he did, yeah.
So yeah, Foy's is great. They're always like, why are you here in like late April, early May buying weird costumes? I'm like, they know. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoy doing it.
Oh, that's fun. That's cool. So that's pretty good, though. Pretty good record, though. You got the wolf off.
Yeah, well, it's always a hung jury. It's always funny. The boys usually vote not guilty, and the girls vote guilty.
Yeah.
I think it's because the kids can't really agree on anything. Girl says one thing, she's got cooties, can't do it. So it's just a weird thing. It's men are from Venus, and men are from Mars, women are from Venus, kind of thing that goes on in the third grade.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that brings us to our next topic, and that is, what are some things that set your business apart? I know we talked about a little bit about that, and we said, like I call it the real factor, the fact that you treat people like people. But beyond that, there's some other things. There's a saying that you said.
Yeah, so we have this joking tagline. I don't say it's a mission statement, it's more of a tagline that we're not your granddad's law firm. We don't have bad comb-overs. We don't have some cartoon animal that is our mascot. It's just us, and if I don't have court that day, you're going to find me in my office in jeans and in a polo shirt or something like that. And people are always kind of like, I think they're just afraid to go meet with a lawyer that's going to talk down to them and be stuffed shirt and have to the point where like they're going to have their initials on their cufflinks and all that sort of stuff, and like their Rolex and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, man, I'm just not.
They're wearing like a $5,000 or $6,000 outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the Rolex quality attorney, but the Bush Light kind of attorney. I think it's just growing up the way I grew up is, just treating people well and just not being some stuffed shirt, boring old dude with a bad comb over. We were going to do a commercial. One of my associate attorneys went to do a commercial, and I met with the salesman was an older guy, and then they brought the tech guy in who was going to kind of do the commercial, and he was like, well, what are you thinking? I was like, nothing with a cartoon animal, nothing with a bad comb over, and nothing where I look at the camera like I'm angry, like we don't get paid unless you get paid. That's anytime you see a lawyer commercial, think about that. They all look the same. Drive to Chicago, you see all the attorneys on their stuff, and they're like, nobody's smiling. I'm like, like I've had people hire us because I'm smiling on my website. Because I'm here for my mantra is I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Yeah. I'm gonna have fun no matter what I do, and we're gonna have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna, like you said originally, treat people right, treat people real. You're gonna be kind, essentially. Yeah. You're not gonna sit here with your nose up in the air like I'm better than you. No, you're just like, hey, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get the job done, and we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do the best of our ability, and we're gonna kick ass.
Yep, I fall down, putting my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else.
Yeah. I will say this though, with a business matter I had, I remember we were talking, we're all good and everything, and then we're in court, and it was a client that was, pulling something weird. I don't know. She bought furniture. You remember the old rip and run or whatever.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, boom, you snapped in the lawyer mode, and I was like, thank God he's on my side.
Yeah, I've been accused by at least one judge that I like to have some fun with the trial if I've got it, and I'll play with him. Like I said, I'll be like the cat playing with a ball of yarn until I come behind him and slit their throat. So if I have to not go too lawyer mode too soon because it can turn people off. But yeah, it's a skill that you're trained in.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I love about it. So for anyone that might think that Chris is just this big soft fluffy guy, no, he's a nice guy, but you've got that killer instinct in you. That's the best way to explain it. I saw it firsthand.
It was fun.
Well, let's talk about some different recent milestones and successes that your business has achieved.
Yeah, so we were selected a couple years ago as the Beavercreek Chamber Member of the Year, Business of the Year. We won the best law firm in Dayton twice, and that's one that was really important to us because, we were up against these big firms. We were against the cartoon tigers and all that, and who were very good lawyers, but they had way more people, and this is just little old me.
Right.
And this is voted on by the public, and so these were ones that we were nominated. Like I didn't even know. They were like, "Hey, congratulations, you're nominated." I'm like, "For what?" And so we were nominated because of a client of ours, a business client of ours, that nominated us, and then a bunch of other people. They're like, "Your name just keeps popping up," and so then the public votes. It's not because you spend more. There's so many of these awards, the 40 under 40, or there's so many awards that you can get that is because you bought those awards. I've refused to pay for one of these the rising star lawyers things that people have on their walls, some of these law firms, because I'm like, you know what, if I have to pay for it, it's probably not earned. I don't want anything I didn't earn, and so that was big. We won that 2 years in a row, and finally the third year I was like, I think let's let somebody else have it. I don't want to do it anymore. We were selected at the Creek Safe, got the Crime Stoppers Award. It's funny, as a defense attorney, I'm in a room full of cops getting an award for stopping crime, and I'm like, that's awesome. I told them when I was accepting the award, I'm like, I've never been so intimidated with the jury in my life as a bunch of cops sitting here watching me. Probably some of whom I've probably almost made cry on the stand. I have the opportunity, actually got one coming up next week. I did this last year and I get to do it again. There's a organization that I've been a member for pretty much since I started practicing, called Ohio Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. They do a big DUI seminar every year in Columbus. Last year they asked me to teach their trial skills on a Saturday. They do a trial skills session. I'm going to be doing that again next Saturday. Actually, not tomorrow, the following Saturday I'll be teaching it. Last year was fun because the morning session is in the hotel, and then you go over to the courthouse and we break into small groups. And I like to work with the young public defenders to help them try cases, to teach them how to do it right. And we get in the elevator. The elevator, and it's me, my buddy Dan Sable, who's one of the other instructors, who's a fantastic attorney. He's a beast. In some of his group and my group, all of a sudden, the elevator drops like a foot, doors close, and we're like, and so Dan's people are starting to kind of freak out. He's trying to die hard his way out, trying to force the doors open, looking for the thing in the ceiling. Yeah, it's
the escape
insane. And I'm like, dude, what are you gonna do? And so people are starting to freak out. It's 1,000,000 degrees in the elevator. And so I said, all right, guys, hey, we're not going anywhere for a while, so we're gonna start our session. So I taught how to do trial to a bunch of attorneys in a trapped elevator. Yeah. And people, finally when we got out about an hour and a half later, we get into our courtroom, and one of the girls in my group, who's a young public defender, goes, "How in the world did you stay so calm?" I said, "Well, we were only on the first floor."
Yeah, I was wondering. I was going to ask you, how high up were you?
We were only on the first floor, so if we fell maybe 1 or 2 stories, I mean, we weren't going to die. Might be hurt a little bit. The only thing I was going to freak out is if all of a sudden it snapped and we go shooting up and then shooting down like Tower of Terror. Then we're screwed. Yeah. But I'm like, again, I'm not afraid of any of it. So, we just tried to make the best out of the situation. And by far, it was the best seminar I've ever attended or taught. And it was a blast. We enjoyed it. I don't want to do it again.
Right.
But it kept everybody calm. And they're like, you just stayed so calm. I'm like, that's trial. If you can present a trial in a trapped elevator, then you can present a trial anywhere.
You can do it anywhere. Yeah.
Because nobody else is going to, you're not going to die in a trial.
Right. So. Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's interesting that you say that. That
it was fun.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I can only imagine, but just a testament to staying cool, calm, and collective. That's what it's all about.
I tell my daughter all the time because she plays softball. I'm like, what's the worst thing that happens? She'll go up to an at bat, and I'm like, what's the worst thing that happens? She goes, I strike out. And I said, well, you know what? Hall of Fame career is 1 out of 3. Yeah. You hit 1 hit in a game, that's Hall of Fame for your entire career. So, okay, if you strike out, do you still get a ride home? Yeah. Right. Do you still have food? Are they still going to get you whatever you want from the snack shack? Yeah. Do we still love you? Yeah. Well, then who cares? If you can go out and live life with a little bit of that reckless abandon, instead of worrying about what if, well, say, well, what if not? And enjoy that. That's kind of always my thing. My wife hates it. That she'll get a call from the doctor or whatever, and be like, she's like, well, what if it's this? I'm like, well, we don't have enough information to know, so what if it's not? I'm not going to freak myself out.
Until I know I have to. Yeah.
And even then, I'm like, by that point, who cares? I mean, what can I do about it? I mean, don't sweat the small stuff. Isn't that what they say, right?
Right. Yeah. That's very true. It's very true. Well, let's talk about some challenges. What's some different challenges you've had, having your own business here in Dayton?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one to start was the business culture in Beavercreek. There was a very set, older a bunch of guys who'd been doing it for a long time, and so to try to break into that business, so they don't think you're just some punk kid, from. You're not Scooby-Doo and his pals,
Right.
some punk kid that is just here to make money. That was the hardest thing. I mean, we had to go through is we had to show them we cared, that we're here to stay, and basically, I gave me the green light to be the bull in the china shop, right?
Yeah.
To not be afraid, to not back down, because even trying cases, I think I had like 15 trials in my first year as a lawyer because the prosecutors wouldn't give you good deals or wouldn't do stuff, and I said, well, sometimes you've got to
Got to earn your stripes.
You have to
what
earn
they
your
say.
stripes, Tiger, right? So I had a high school football coach. I mean, actually, he coached one of our younger groups. He told us that first play of the day, the first play of the game is the most important one. You go out and you knock somebody on their butt. That is the most important thing. And so for that, you earn your stripes. You hit people in the mouth enough, they're going to stop coming at you. So, that's kind of where it's at. And I still run into it every once in a while with some older attorneys. Like, one was I had a young associate, who was a female associate, and this attorney was like trying to push her around a little bit until I picked up the phone, and he didn't do that anymore. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get pushed around. And so I'm not going to be a jerk about anything, but I'm just not going to let somebody treat younger people like that. And so that was probably the hardest thing. I think the current hardest part is we're in a weird climate right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just in a weird time of life, and people are just angry. You turn on the news and you just get depressed. I mean, now the federal government's getting attacked, and I try not to get too political, but it's just toxic, and there's just a lack of kindness. And as kumbaya, which is not me at all, as kumbaya as it sounds,
Yeah.
we just have a lack of kindness going around. And if I could encourage everybody to just take a breath,
Yeah.
realize, hey, why am I losing my cool? And I kind of started writing down on a note in my bathroom at the house is, be better, do better. Like, right?
Yeah.
Be kind. I mean, start losing your cool. I mean, I do it. I mean, I lose my cool with my kids. I mean, I hate to do it with clients.
Sure,
and all that sort of stuff,
we've
but
all done it.
Yeah, I mean, but if we treat each other the way we're supposed to and with kindness,
And it's kind of
that'll go a long
interesting
way.
how, like, when we do get to that point, it's always some X factor that has nothing to do with the actual current situation for
Yeah.
you. And that's what's so bizarre about it. It's like a weird buildup, and it's just like, that is where I'm taking it out on, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just did.
I'll have a client that gets pulled over and they start yelling at the cops immediately. And I was like, Gabriel Iglesias, the comedian, has a skit. And he's like, if you can make the cop laugh, you got a chance.
Yeah.
If you start yelling at them, they're not going to give you a chance.
Right.
So if you're cool with the cop, they're going to be cool with you. And again, not saying that all cops are fantastic, but most of them, they're just doing their job.
Yeah. They're people.
Yeah, I mean, I get along with pretty much most of them. There's some that we've had to go round and round about because they're not doing their job, and they want to wash out the bad ones. They don't want to look bad. I mean,
Yeah.
Just so if you treat them with kindness anywhere, the store clerk, your kids, your wife, your husband, whatever. I mean, be nice to each other in life. If you can, I find negativity to be very toxic. It's like a poison in your system. If you let it in, it will keep bringing you down.
Yes.
You're gonna go to
Well, it's like a cancer. It just keeps taking over.
It's just gonna take over your body and your life. And so if you can start letting stuff go and be positive, and be kind, I think you're gonna wake up. And it's not easy, but day in and day out, you start trying. You take that small step to do that. You're gonna be
Right.
happy.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's very important. It's very important. And just take a deep breath.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You kind of say, if something happens, like, is this worth me losing my crap over? No.
Right.
And most likely, I mean, the stuff we get angry about, if you write down, you're like, like I saw a counselor one time that said, like it was a marriage counselor said, if you said why you got divorced, if you said that your marriage ended and you gave the reason, would other people look at you as like, "Oh, that's a dumb reason," then it's a dumb reason. I have this, we were down
Exactly.
we were down in Daytona Beach, and it was 4th of July. We go down every 4th of July, and my kids were lighting sparklers on the beach, and a cop shows up, and like all the while, like these people go out on the beach and they're lighting off these huge fireworks. Like, I'm too cheap to do that because you're just lighting stuff on fire. You're just lighting money on fire. But the kids are using
Literally.
sparklers. A cop comes up to me and goes, "You're not allowed to do that on the beach. There's no fireworks on the beach." I'm like, these are sparklers. And he goes, well, they're still fireworks. And I was like, I started to lose my cool. I'm like, dude, come on, these are kids doing sparklers. These are not fireworks. I said, so what I told him was, and I shouldn't have said this, but I said, I believe the Florida Revised Code would see otherwise. And my wife's like, just let's walk away. So we walked about, we left, we went up to the pool instead and whatever. And I was just kind of watching, waiting for him to leave. And he did come, the cop came back and was like, hey, I looked it up. You're right. Sparklers are exempt. They are not fireworks. So I said, I called it the what are you in for rule. If you're sitting in jail, so if I got arrested that night and I'm sitting in jail with, Fluffy, the 350-pound murderer, and he says, what are you in for? And I say, lighting sparklers. And if he laughs at you or is like, well, that's a dumb thing, then it's probably not that important. So yeah, it's the what are you in for rule. If you could live life with the what are you in for rule.
Yes, the what are you in for rule. I like it. It's a good rule. Right. It's a good rule. It's a great way to live life, actually.
It is. But like, if I get arrested today, and that's what it's for, that's a and they're like, oh, that was dumb. Yeah.
Well, what are some projects you guys are currently working on?
Right now, kind of just living life. Trying to figure out how to navigate this new world that we're living in with the budget cuts and DOGE and all that sort of stuff. Trying to see what we need to do to continue to get back. I have this idea. I mean, there's all these, like I'm like the mad scientist. There's all these ideas. I mean, I've got this idea to throw a party at the office called Feed the Fed. And to show our federal government employees that we appreciate everything they do, because let's face it, this area is going to suck if we lose any of the base funding and all that work. This is going to be a bad area. So do something like that. Last day of school, me and a buddy, Jason White, he's a realtor with Andrew Gaydosh and Associates. We bring the Kona ice truck out to our neighborhood the last day of school. That's coming up. The Big Bad Wolf trial. Hopefully my streak continues. Right now, my biggest thing right now is being a dad, being a husband and being a dad. My daughter is a sophomore, just made the varsity team again for the second year. She started every game. My son's playing baseball, so just trying to be there for them because I said, I've got, 2 more years. My daughter's going to college. I'm like, I'm not going to be okay. I see parents that their kids are going to college. I'm like, how do you do it? Because I'm not going to be okay. Which kind of brings me to the other thing. I've been trying to spread the word about, mental health and everything that, I like the musician Jelly Roll. Actually, I'm going to see him with my wife. Bought me tickets to go see him with Post Malone. I'm like, I don't even know what to wear to a Post Malone concert, but it's going to be awesome in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's a great city.
Oh, I love that place.
And so he has a song that says it's okay to be not okay. Yeah, I am not okay. And so letting people know that as a guy that was raised with a military father and and a very just. We didn't talk about feelings. Yeah. It's okay to talk about them. It's okay to not be okay. Right. Talk to somebody, do something, see something, say something, talk about it. It's okay. I mean, so I'm really trying to spread that to a lot of guys that I know. But yeah, that's kind of what we're doing.
Well, that's awesome. Well, how does people get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of Chris Beck and the law firm? And obviously, well, we can say go ahead and say Creek Safe as well. We'll put it all out there.
Well, just find my number written on some bathroom wall somewhere. No, just kidding. Our phone number is 937-426-4000. Beck Law Office, LLC, BECK Office, LLC. We're on Facebook. We don't post a whole lot because, social media has kind of become so toxic anyway. We're in Beavercreek across from one of the Million El Toros on North Fairfield Road, right, by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Creek Safe is just creeksafe.com, and we're on that.
Or
we're on
.org,
Facebook.
right?
No, it's .com.
Oh, it's actually .com.
Yeah, in order to get the .org, people are like, why don't you have a .org? I'm like, because, well, one, the Gmail was free, and we have done everything on a shoestring budget. We have not, we don't make any money from that. It's actually been, we lose money. I pay money to do all of that. And so, so it's creeksafe.com, CreekSafe on Facebook. We don't, I guess I still call it Twitter because I'm old. Yeah. I really don't do much. My
X.
daughter, we don't do X because X was something totally different when I grew up. I mean, going to college, you did X. If you were on X, that means you were passing out somewhere, right?
When I saw that, I was like, wait, is he trying to go for back pages? Like, is he trying to really change the name of the game? I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, if you were on X, I mean, you were on ecstasy whenever I went to college. But I guess we're not on MySpace. Find me on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. Good old AIM, baby, AIM.
Yeah, that's how you get a hold of us. And if you have a business or you have a legal need, give us a chance. Talk to us. If it fits, great. If not, that's cool. I mean, I still wish you the best no matter what your situation is. And if I'm not the man for you, I would refer you to somebody else and go with who you feel comfortable with. If it's me, great. If it's not me, that's okay.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I mean, I think you've exhibited a great, display of services you do and personality and who you are. So that's
Yeah,
what
my
it's all
multiple
about.
personalities, right?
Yeah. Well, is there any words of wisdom you'd like to leave on a positive note with us tonight?
Yeah, be kind. Love each other. Be whatever. I mean, again, I'm not a kumbaya kind of person, but just be kind to each other and help people through it. We can survive. We've survived a lot of bad crap in this world. We can get through it. Driving wise, slow it down. I mean, it's dangerous, man. We're on 675, got passed by a bunch of people. I'm like, why are people driving so fast? I mean, it's okay, but it's dangerous. I want everybody to be safe. My goal is, when I post to people, like I post about DUI checkpoints and all that sort of stuff, I said, I'm way more expensive than an Uber.
Yeah.
I get that. Like I want people to know that. If I was able to get everybody not to risk their lives or other people's lives and just to be doing what they need to be doing, I'm okay. I will be fine. I want people to be safe, happy, healthy. If anybody ever needs anything, just give us a call. We'll help you out with whatever we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm glad we had it. I'm glad we get to get you to have your first drink on.
Yes,
on
first.
video.
Yes, of course. Well, I feel safe around you. All right, Chris, until next time.
Yep, cheers, brother.
Follow to our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to sign up for our email list and receive an email to watch the show. Wednesday at 8 a.m. Do you know a great Dayton business that you would like to see on the show? Visit our website at DaytonApproved.com and click on the Contact tab and tell us who you'd like to see.